Bun. Big fluffy bun. It's a very big fluffy bun. Where's the beef?
You know that feeling when you're at the grocery store, you get to the checkout and you just kind of brace for impact? Well, the big part of that sticker shock lately is coming straight from the meat aisle. Today, we're going to unpack that one big question. Why is your beef so darn expensive? Let's get into it.
Right? It's the question that hits you right in the wallet. Doesn't matter if you're planning a big backyard barbecue or just trying to make some weeknight tacos, the price of beef, it just feels like it's on another level these days. And let's put a real number on that feeling. $6.75. And get this, that's not for some fancy cut ribeye. Nope, that was the average price for a single pound of regular ground beef, a new record high. So what in the world is going on? Well, our investigation starts with the cows themselves.
It really does all start with what you could call the case of the missing cattle. Because at the heart of all this is a massive, massive supply problem that's been quietly building for years.
So the total number of cattle in the U.S. recently stood at about 86.2 million. And, on its own, that sounds like a ton of cows.
But it's not. This number is actually a huge deal. It is the smallest U.S. cattle herd we have seen in over 70 years. I'm talking since 1951. We're back to Truman-era numbers. So the obvious next question is, where did all the cattle go?
Well, it's not just one thing. It's more like a perfect storm of problems. Ranchers have been hit by this brutal combination of forces. For starters, you've got persistent droughts, kicking off back in 2021, that have just decimated pastures, making it incredibly expensive to feed their animals. On top of that, their input costs, stuff like fuel, feed, vet bills, those have surged by more than 50%. And then, when a major processing plant like a Tyson facility closes, it just creates this huge bottleneck in the supply chain. So, for many ranchers, the only logical, though painful, choice was to sell off their herds just to cut their losses.
So, okay, we've got a historic shortage of cattle on one hand, but believe it or not, that's only half the story. Because on the other side of the equation, you have all the ingredients for a perfect economic storm. This is what economists are calling the double whammy. So on one side, you have the cattle supply at a 70-plus year low. But on the other side, our demand for beef as consumers is at a multi-decade high. We all kind of became backyard grilling heroes during the pandemic, right? And that taste for a good burger or steak, it hasn't gone away. It's economics 101. Way fewer cows plus way more people wanting to buy beef equals, you guessed it, sky-high prices.
How do you like yours, Clark?
Oh, medium rare, a little pink inside.
Oh, you're fine. Light or dark?
Oh, either way, it doesn't matter. No meat in this?
You get plenty of meat at home. Be polite. Have some ketchup.
Now, this whole situation has definitely gotten attention at the highest levels. For instance, the White House recently put out a statement saying that beef prices are, quote, starting to come down significantly. But what does the actual data say?
Well, the numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics tell a slightly different story. While prices might dip a tiny bit here and there, the year-over-year increases are still huge. Ground beef is up 22% to that record high. Steaks and roasts are up 13 to 14%. As one economist put it, any tiny little dip is very poor consolation when you're facing these kinds of major price hikes.
So this brings us to the really critical question. When are we going to see some real relief? Unfortunately, the answer lies in biology, and, well, it's not a quick fix. The term you need to know here is herd rebuilding. You see, unlike a car factory that can just flip a switch and ramp up production, you can't rush biology. Growing more cattle is a slow, expensive, multi-year process. Period. Let's just walk through this timeline, because it really shows you how long this takes. Okay, year 1, a rancher decides to keep a female cow to breed instead of selling her. Year 2, that cow gives birth after a 9-month pregnancy. But you're not done. Year 3, that calf has to grow and be raised to market weight. So that new beef supply doesn't actually hit the market until year 4. The big takeaway here is that a decision made today to rebuild the herd won't mean more burgers in the grocery store for 3 to 4 years. That's why most experts agree we're not likely to see significant price relief until at least 2027 or 2028. So, if we can't grow more beef here at home anytime soon, what's the short-term fix? Well, the government's main play has been to open the floodgates to imports, recently quadrupling the amount of beef we can bring in from countries like Argentina.
But this creates a really tricky situation, a dilemma. Sure, on one hand, more imported beef might give us shoppers some temporary price relief. That's the pro. But here's the big con. It also pushes down the prices that U.S. ranchers get for their cattle. And if their prices are falling, where's the incentive for them to spend all that money rebuilding their own herds?
President Trump last week suggested importing more beef from Argentina to increase the available supply. The National Cattlemen's Beef Association said it would undercut the future of family farmers.
So, with prices through the roof and supply super tight, the last piece of the puzzle is who's actually winning in this environment. Let's follow the money. First up, a name you might not know but definitely should, JBS. These guys are the single largest protein producer on the entire planet, a true global giant.
So why do they win? It's simple. Global diversification. While the U.S. herd is shrinking, JBS can just lean on its huge operations in places like South America and Australia to fill the supply gap. They have incredible power to set prices and can just pass any higher costs right along to us. It's no surprise analysts are calling them a strong buy, especially since they're trading at a big discount compared to their competitors. Next is a company you almost certainly do know, Darden Restaurants. They're the ones who own high-end steakhouses like the Capitol Grill and Ruth's Chris.
Darden's big advantage is who they sell to. Their customers tend to be higher-income folks who are a lot less sensitive to price increases. I mean, if your steak dinner goes up a few bucks, it's probably not a deal breaker. On top of that, their huge size lets them lock in way better supply deals than some small independent steakhouse could ever dream of.
And our final winner today is Hormel Foods. They've built an absolute fortress of famous brands that go way beyond just fresh meat.
Hormel's real strength is in all those products you see in the middle of the grocery store. While the price of fresh beef is going up and down like a roller coaster, the price of Spam or Jennie-O turkey is much more stable. That powerful brand loyalty creates a financial moat around their business, which allows for really consistent pricing. They even just raised their earnings guidance for the year, and they offer a solid dividend, which makes them a go-to defensive stock for investors trying to ride out all this food inflation.
So that's where we are. We've got record high prices that are being driven by historically small herds. We have a biological clock that prevents any kind of quick fix, and we have these massive global players who are perfectly positioned to profit from all the chaos.